Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you who are attending Oracle Groundbreakers APAC Virtual Tour 2020. Thank you for joining for my session, New Features in Oracle Apex 20. My name is Chaitanya. I'm a product manager for Oracle Apex. I joined Oracle Bengaluru in 2005, and I'm currently based out of Hyderabad, India. I joined Oracle Apex team in 2010, and I'm responsible for Oracle Apex product management activities. I'm very active on Twitter, so you can follow me to know what's happening in the Apex world, and you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Since Apex 18.1, we have been doing 2 releases every calendar year. And as such, in the calendar year 2020, we came up with Apex 20.1 in April, which includes lots of interesting features. And in Apex 20.2, I'm sure most of you would have been already testing 20.2 new features on the customer evaluation only instance, apex.oracle.com. So in today's session, what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick review of Apex 20.1, and then we'll focus more on what's new in Apex 20.2 and with some interesting demos as well. So friendly URLs, which is a new feature introduced in Apex 20.1. So it simplifies the URL syntax for your Apex application, and it makes search engine optimization SEO friendly URL syntax so that it is easy for you to understand where exactly you are within your application. And then Redwood Theme UI. The Apex user interface as well as the App Builder user interface has been refreshed with Redwood, which is Oracle's new user experience design system. Mega menus, which are part of the universal theme. So Apex 20.1 introduced mega menus. So mega menus, basically, they present a collapsible floating panel for your navigation, so which would display all of the navigation items at once. Then another new feature introduced in Apex 20.1 is a remote application deployment. So with just one click, you can deploy your applications from within your source system to a target system. And then export as zip files. Starting 20.1, you can export your application as a zip file. So this feature would actually facilitate integration with Git or SVN, and it would simplify incremental deployment. Automatic backups, so starting 20.1, your applications are backed up as part of daily maintenance. Built-in PDF printing feature in Apex 20.1. So what this means is you can now directly do PDF printing from your interactive grids. And that would also protect the formatting changes that you have made, such as control breaks and highlighting and things like that. Session timeout alerts. So users, starting 20.1, users are alerted about when the session is ending, and then they will be given an opportunity to extend the session as well. Faster search enhancements in 20.1, that includes cascading LOVs, and then we also have conditional facets and compact count display, etc. SQL workshop enhancements in Apex 20.1. So what this means is we have extended support to SODA collections, that is simple Oracle document access. And then interactive grid enhancements. So we have made IG filtering is supported through URL parameters. And then we also have the new Apex_IG API. A lot of enhancements and bug fixes have been made in Universal Theme to support RTL language feature. And then we also made library upgrades. So, for example, JET has been upgraded to 8.2. And now let's focus on Apex 20.2 new features. So what's new in Apex 20.2? The features I'm going to cover today are a new cards region. We have automations. We have faceted search enhancements, report printing enhancements, REST data source synchronization. So web source modules are renamed as web source modules are renamed as REST data sources in Apex 20.2. And we also have REST data source connector plugins. We have new web credential types. Redwood UI, this means the new Redwood Light theme style. And then we have got good number of enhancements made for developer experience. And we have new items as well as improvisations made to some of the existing items. We have some miscellaneous features to talk about. And of course, we have the JavaScript library upgrades as well. So let's focus on the new cards region. So the new cards region basically is a new nature report region type. So this is a new nature report region type in Apex 20.2. So what do you use cards for? Basically, you use cards in your pages to show a variety of information in small blocks. And in Apex 20.2, card region would allow you to be displayed in three different styles, with icons or with initials, images as part of the body or as background. And card regions allow you to embed and include images either sourced from either a blob column or an image URL, or you can also embed a video in iframe in your cards. And you can also add actions to each card's image, title, subtitle as new buttons, or even using the entire card, because cards present simple information and there will be buttons that can be linked to more detailed information, and you can add actions as new buttons or the entire card. Card region in Apex 20.2 is completely declarative and also flexible to customize. You can use card regions with a faceted search page. So let's take a quick look at the difference between cards in before Apex 20.2 and what's new in Apex 20.2. So you've been using card regions, you've been using card pages before 20.2, but the implementation was as a classic report with cards template before 20.2, and now in 20.2, it's a new native region type. So cards region is a new native region type. And because you use classic report, there you need a SQL query with specific column alias in versions before Apex 20.2. Now, your card region can have a report source or the region source as declarative table, SQL query, and REST sources. You used to create, cards using Create Application Wizard before Apex 20.2, and starting 20.2, card region can be created declaratively from Create Application Wizard and also Create Page Wizard. And you can also use your page designer. So within your page designer, you can simply drag and drop the card region from the region sections into the layout. Server-side rendering is the implementation before 20.2, and Apex 20.2 card region is a client-side rendering. And it is a bit hard to customize cards in Apex 20.2, but we have full-length decorative customizations available in Apex 20.2. And in Apex 20.2, cards region also includes badge, media, and conditional actions. Now let's take a look at a demo. Let's go to a demo and then we'll come back to the slide deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go my apex.oracle.com instance workspace, and then I'm going to create a new application quickly. So I click new application. And then I give it a name. Let's see, new features or something like that. New features app. And then I simply create an application. Now let me show you how to create, use the Create Page wizard. So I click Create Page, and then I go to Report. And then I pick up cards. So this is new. And then I give it a name. For example, just simply give it as cards. I don't want breadcrumbs. Click next. And then I would choose for navigation preference, create a new navigation menu entry. Click next. And then my data sources can be local database, REST-enabled SQL, or REST data source. So in this case, I'm picking up a local table. So I'm just using the EMP table. speaking of the EMP table, and then hit next. So now the wizard would show me 3 different layouts for my cards, and I would pick one of these layouts for my cards implementation. So it shows me grid, float, and horizontal. So I would stick to the default grid layout. So I can notice that the title column and body column are pre-selected or automatically populated for me because this is a local table. And I can choose initials column, like for example, I choose e-name. And for batch column, I would pick up, let's say, department number and say create. And that's it, my card is created. So I can simply run my card now. I'll just use my workspace username and password. And now this is the new card that I just created on the EMP table. Okay, so now let's move to another demo. Let's create another page, another cards page. So this time what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a page on a cards page on product, for products. Basically, I would pick up the table demo product info from the sample database application. So I'm going to go to a report. And then I go to cards and then give it a name, page name, products. Next. And then create a new navigation menu entry. So basically I would like to show some images which are picked up from the blob column of that particular table. Okay, so I would still stick to local database. And then now what I'm going to do is use demo product info table. Next button. And now again, it shows me 3 different layouts. I can choose any of the layouts for my cards page. And so, let me just pick up the grid, product name, product description, and let's pick up the icon initials column. So let's pick up product name again. And for batch, let's go with category column. That's it, my cards page is created. But now, before actually running the page, so I would like to make some changes. So what you see here now is the cards region. So let's click select cards, and you see a cards report region type, right? And you notice that the attributes tab has been moved from this location to the property editor. So this is new. So basically, your attributes as well as the printing tab has been moved from this location to the property editor in your page designer. So this is one of the developer experience feature that we have covered in 20.2. Okay, so now let's go with the attributes. So it shows me different attributes such as title, subtitle, so I can customize all of them. I can use advanced formatting, and let me just scroll down. So what I would like to show you is how I can embed some media. So I can embed an image URL. I can also use a URL column, and I can use a blob column. So in this case, I'm going to use a blob column, which is available in my demo product info table. So I'm selecting product image, which is the blob column, and then I also choose last updated column, image last update, so that I chooses caching. And then I scroll up and then choose product ID for the primary key. That's it. I think I'm all good. And then let me just run the page. Now you see that the image has been embedded and used in the card. So it just picked up from the blob column, product info blob column, demo product info blob. All right, so next, let's move to the slide again. And then let's focus on the next feature, automation. So Apex 20.2 introduced automations. Automations basically are a sequential set of PL SQL actions which are triggered, basically automatically triggered because of the changes that occur within your database tables or your remote data sources. And there might be situations like, for example, where you might have to have auto approval of specific requests or sending email alerts. So automations which are introduced in Apex 20.2, they are used to monitor data and then perform the appropriate action. Automations can be triggered either on schedule or on demand by invoking the Apex automation package. The query results used by automations can be derived either from a table or view or real SQL function retaining the SQL query and local database or REST-enabled SQL or REST data source. So let's quickly take a look at where you can define automations. So I'm going to go to my application homepage and go to Share Components. And then under application logic, I see automation. So I can create automation. Just hit create and then give it a name. And it can be on demand or schedule. And there can be actions initiated on query. As always, execution schedule can be every 15 minutes, on the hour, daily at midnight. You can also have your custom execution schedule. This is how you specify, you create automations in Apex 20.2. All right, so let's take a look at the next interesting feature, faceted search enhancements. In 20.2, faceted search pages would also provide you a visualization of your current facet value counts, or either you can have a bar chart or a pie chart, and that can be displayed in a dialog or in a dashboard area. We'll take a look at the demo now so that it's easy for you to understand what I mean. And then other faceted search enhancements that you have made in Apex 20.2 is we have introduced groups of checkbox facets for Boolean columns. Like, for example, there might be some Boolean columns and you might want to group all of them into your facet group so that you can achieve now declaratively. And we also have something called as input field facet type so that it supports user entered value with the facet column. So let's take a look at a demonstration to understand this particular enhancements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my same application. And then I'm going to create a faceted search page. So I go to report. And then I select faceted search. Then give it a name. So give it as search. Hit next. And then I create a new navigation menu entry. And then it will give me options for data sources, like I can choose local database or REST data source as REST-enabled SQL. So I'm going to use my EMP table again. Just stick with EMP table for now. All right, so I can display the report type either as a report or cards. So if you choose cards, as explained in the previous slide, it picks up the cards region now, which is a native region type. So you can try it out by choosing cards as a display as. So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go with report and then hit create. Now, once my faceted search page is created, let me quickly run the page. All right, so now you see a bar or pie chart. So I can just, along with the report, the faceted search report, I can also display the facet value counts as bar charts or pie charts. So let me just click show chart, and then it shows me a bar. And then if I click this one, it shows me a pie chart, for example. So this is displayed as a dialog now. So if I click this and the one, so it changes accordingly. So let me just show you how you can achieve this in a dashboard, for example. So to do this, simply edit the page and you go to your page designer, search. And remember, the attributes have been moved from this location to attributes here in the property editor. So just hit attributes and let's search for chart, and it shows pop-up now. So I would like to have this as a selector, and let me just give a selector as it's to set, and then let me just save and run the page. Let's see what happens if I click this. It shows in the dashboard area. If I click this, it shows in the dashboard area, and if I click this, it shows in the dashboard area as well, along with the faceted search report for me. And I can also toggle between a bar chart and a pie chart as well. Okay, so now let me just demonstrate the group facets feature. So I already have an application. So I'm gonna go my app builder. And I choose an application that I have already built. So faceted search application. So here, and then I'm gonna run one of these pages. So employee search. So the employees faceted search page is basically built on top of the EMP table that I already have. So let me just show you how do I create group facets, because I have a couple of Boolean columns in my table. So let me just go to the page designer and I can show you, like for example, I have on leave and I have is manager and new hire, which are basically Boolean. So I would like to have a facet, which is a group facet, which includes the combination of all of these facets. So what I'm going to do right now is that at the moment, what you see here is EMP number and department number. So I would like to have a group facet, which includes all the three of them. So I'm going to go there and then show them. Let's close this one. So share my screen again. Sorry, and so let's go to page designer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a facet group now. Okay, so I'm going to create a facet group, and then I give it a name of the facet group, for example. Group. And then I would add checkboxes, different items. In this case, I would add is manager. So pick up the database column for that. Is manager, and then I would add one more checkbox. And this time I'm going to add new hire, and then it picks up the database column new hire, and then I have one more column which is say on leave, and it would pick up the same column. So let me just, so my facet group has been created with is manager, new hire, and on leave, and so let me just run this. All right, so let me just close this window so it's easy for you to see this. This particular one. So I'm again. Okay, now so here if you see underneath this, I have is manager and I have new hire and I have on leave, which are the Booleans. So I created a facet group on top of these by selecting all of these checkbox facets. So if I click is manager, it's going to show me all the report, which is manager with yes, and then I unselect that one, and then I click new hire. But this time it's going to show me new hire, and then new hire on leave, for example, it's going to show me new hire as well as and then let me just deselect this one. So I just click new hire, and it just show me new hire, and then so let me just now select different values for different checkboxes, and then it will display the results accordingly for me. So this is how a facet group can be created and can be used in your report. And then another one that I would like to show you is the input field. So for this, I would use a different page in this application, or I have a page. So I would like to show you how can I create input field type faceted search. So page 9 here, which is a similar faceted search page with salary field. So I would like to make the facet salary as input. Okay, so now at the moment you don't have salary, you just have salary as a range type. So I would like to convert the range facet type into input field type, right? Just selected that one in Page Designer. And then what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to change the attributes. So attributes here, for example, comparison operator, I'm going to select greater than, and then prefix text I would select as greater than, and I would give suffix text because this is for the salary US dollars. And then let's see how this looks like if I change the range facet to an input field facet type. Okay, so now I see this one, and let me just do some filtering. So I would simply enter 2,500 US dollars, and you see the results are displayed accordingly. So if I simply say 3,000, for example, so it would, the faceted search report is refreshed for me, and it would display the salary of 5,000. So this is about faceted search enhancements, and let's go to the slide again. Report printing, we have made a good number of enhancements to report printing in APEX 20.2. We now have built-in PDF printing, like built-in PDF printing was introduced for interactive grids in APEX 20.1. We now have a built-in PDF printing and native Excel download as well, available for interactive reports, interactive grids, and classic reports. And another interesting feature is that in APEX 20.2, starting APEX 20.2, your built-in PDF printing supports Chinese, Japanese, and Korean languages as well. And developers can can opt at the application level, like you can choose native printing to enable your built-in PDF printing. You can also have remote print server. So another interesting feature is that send as email in your interactive report, which can include now all of the download formats can be attached. And not just that, if you want to export your report, your interactive report and interactive grid with just data only, without any kind of formatting or whatever, you can export data only for interactive reports and interactive grids. And we also have enhanced integration with BI Publisher in APEX 20.2. Like we now have workspace level configuration of new BI Publisher API that supports authentication, not just at the instance level, but we have workspace level configuration of new BI Publisher API. And what this allows is, this would allow you to configure your OAC service, which is Oracle Analytics Cloud Service, as a print server for using Apex on the autonomous database. So you can configure your OAC service as a print server and use Apex on autonomous. And we have the new Apex region export data and Apex data export APIs for report page. Another interesting feature, a new feature in APEX 20.2 is REST data source synchronization. Remember, we already discussed that web source modules formerly are now named as REST data sources. Apex declaratively supports data synchronization from a REST data source to a local table. So what this means is that from your REST API, Apex would fetch the data. Apex would actually create a local table, and it would store all the data that is fetched from your REST API into the target table. And not just that, Apex would also, this particular feature will allow you to append, merge, and replace synchronization types. So you can achieve 3 different types of synchronization of your REST data source to your local table. And just because it is a local table, now your Apex components can use REST data source, instead of REST data source, they can use local tables. So if you are having an existing Apex component, like for example, interactive report, which is using a REST data source, that can be changed to a local table now decoratively, so within your page designer. You can also configure HTTP request limits, commit intervals, or delete methods for the replace mode. And so let's take a quick look at this particular feature in the posted instance. I'm gonna go to apex.oracle.com, and then I'm gonna go to my application. I'll just try it out in a different application. So I already have a new features app that I just created. So let me just use that one. So what I'm going to now show you is to synchronize data from USGS. So we have the GeoJSON from the USGS, US Geological Survey. So we do have GeoJSON, which is produced like for every past hour, whatever it is, and then we have earthquake information here. So I'm just going to click this one, all earthquakes. I'm going to pick this particular API for my demonstration. Okay, so I'm just going to use this. And now this data will be synchronized to my local table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my application shared components, and I create REST data sources. So web source modules is now REST data sources. I create, and the result is the same. So it's a simple HTTP. I just give it as a name, USGS, and then this is my URL endpoint. Next. And then it creates a new remote server for me, and then base URL and service URL path, and hitting next. I don't need authentication for this particular REST API, so I'm hitting discover. Right? Now I can see the data profile, and I can simply click create a REST data source. My REST data source is available now. So what I'm going to do is I go to my application, and then I'm going to create an interactive report on top of this. So I'm going to go to report, go to interactive report, and then give it a name like USGS, whatever. Next. Basically, what I would like to show you is that right now I'm using REST data source, and then later on you can change this to a local table, declarative. So next button. And then now I'm going to click REST data source and then select USGS and then hit create. So my interactive report is available now. So this is how it looks like. So let's not bother about this. So let me just go to Page Designer. Let me just go to the application now. And then we'll go to the shared components. Like I said, we can do 3 different types of synchronization types, like append, merge, and replace. So I'm going to use merge synchronization type for my local table. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to REST data sources. And this is the one. So clicking this one, the first thing that is important when you're doing a merge synchronization type is to make sure that your data profile column includes a primary key. So I just hit data profile, and then I select ID column, which is obviously a right candidate for a primary key. This has a primary key, and say apply changes. Okay, so I'm going back to USGS again, REST data source, and now I would like to do the synchronization. I would like to create a synchronization. So I hit manage synchronization. It would allow me to synchronize to a new table or an existing table, right? So I'm choosing a new table, and I'm giving it a name, USGS local, for example. And just hitting save right now. So it is not going to create a table for me, but rather it would give me the table definition, and then later on I'll be able to create the table. So now, so change is applied, table does not exist, the synchronization table does not exist, so I'm hitting show SQL. So I can also save this particular table as a supporting object, so I can use it later in my operations. synchronization operation. So for now, I'm just going to hit create table. My table will be now ready. And then once my table is ready, my table is ready for synchronization, then I'm gonna go and do the synchronization schedule, okay? So table USGS local is ready for synchronization. Like I have 3 different operations, synchronization types. I can do append, merge, and replace, right? And I'm choosing merge. So you can do your synchronization either manually or on demand or on schedule. Now, let me just stick to, let me just create a syntax, a calendaring syntax now. So I'm just going to go, either I can go for weekly, daily, hourly, or monthly. Just going to go make it as 15 minutes now. I'm setting the execution interval. So my synchronization is ready now, and 15 minutes, and I'm hitting save and run. Let's see what happens. Okay, changes applied, data synchronization triggered. Okay, I can come down, and before viewing the log, let me just quickly reload the page. And then I can view the log later. So scroll down, and I see 5 rows have been merged, and I can click this one, view HTTP request log, and this is the request, and this is the request details for me. So now what I can do is that I'm assured that the table is created and the synchronization is done. I can go to view in SQL Workshop and then see what's there. The USGS table is created, data is created as well. And now what I can do is I can simply go to dependencies to see what is mentioned under dependencies. So dependencies, and it shows that this is application name and it has been synchronized, and this is the frequency or interval, and the next synchronization is due 14 minutes from now. So let's go back to App Builder, and let's go back to the same REST data source, shape components, REST data sources. And then let's see a couple of other things here, like now you see here, so the next synchronization is due 18 minutes from now. And let's just take a look at, let's say, manage synchronization. Let's go to manage synchronization. And we just take a look at use synchronization usage. So I hit synchronization usage here. Is not used by any application component at the moment. So let me just convert the existing report that I have created to use this particular table. So what I do is I go to my application, and I already have that. So I already am on page 5. So I go to USGS report. And now here, this is right now is using a REST source, USGS. So I simply can turn on the switch to use a synchronization table. So the moment I do this, save and run the page, and save the changes, then it will pick up, instead of doing HTTP, instead of doing a request to the REST API, it will directly fetch the data from the local table. So hitting save and run page. So now, instead of fetching the data using the REST API, it is doing it from the local table. All right, so another new feature that I would like to cover is connector plugins. REST Data Source Connector Plugins is introduced in 20.2, which supports connector plugins for your external APIs. So you can have plugins with your REST API information, and then you can use them as REST data source types. And similarly, you can also use them for your Apex components like repos, charts, and things like that. So this enables Apex to fully leverage REST API features like pagination and server-side filtering, which also allows especially third-party REST services, which are not Oracle REST data services or Oracle Fusion SaaS services. So it's very important feature if you are doing using third-party REST services. You can just create plugins, and then those are of REST data source type. And the process here, as mentioned in the slide, you would first create a plugin, which is of the REST data source type. Then the plugin code handles all of the REST service specific implementation details like pagination, style, or whatever. And then when Apex invokes a REST data source, the engine would invoke the plugin code and pass all of the relevant context information. Plugin code executes multiple requests, HTTP request, or one HTTP request accordingly, and would pass the result back to the Apex engine. And Apex processes the REST response received from the plugin. Let's see this in action quickly. So what I'm going to do right now is let's go to the same. And this time I'm going to the same application, new features app. So I'll show you how to we create such a plugin connected plugin. So go to share components, and I go to under other components. I can create plugins. So at the moment, what I would do, I already have a movie database plugin, so I would simply import the plugin from there. I can either drag and drop or simply sources from here. So let me just go here, choose the plugin. Our plugin is available, so click next. Click next again. All right, so it's installed into my new features application. So install plugin, which has the REST API information. So MovieDB REST API, which is of REST data source type. So what I would do right now is I go to my application, shared components now, and then I would create a REST data source. Just come here and create a REST data source from scratch. And then now I would create a REST data source type of MovieDB REST API plugin. Just give it a name, movies, and it automatically picks up the endpoint because it's already been specified the REST API information. So, and then now hit next. This basically needs API key from the movie database. So, and then notice now I'm choosing authentication. And now in Apex 20.2, we have two new different web credential types, which is HTTP header and URL query string. So this is for the encrypted credential storage. Basically, you use these types, and especially when you're using a REST API. So for example, right now I'm going to go query URL query string and give it a name, API key, and then I have the API key available. Just copy this, paste this, and then I hit discover. Okay, so now I just click data profile and then I create REST data source. Now, once my REST data source is available, I can create a page on top of that. So I go to here and then create page, create a report. I'm creating an interactive report. And then I'm giving it a name, movies, for example. Next. And new navigation menu entry, next. And this time I'm going to pick a REST data source. So hit REST data source, movies is available for me, and then hit create. Okay, so now my interactive report page is created, and then let me just run the page. We can also make any parameter changes and things like that. So for now, no data is displayed. So let me just type in some query string, Star Trek, and displays the Star Trek movie information for me in my interactive report. All right. Okay, so let's go to the slide again. We just covered the new web credential types. We are seeing the URL query string credential. So you can use the secure encrypted credential storage for more credential types, and new credentials being URL query string and HTTP header types for credentials. A web credential can now be protected by using URL pattern. Like Apex will use only web credential for URL starting with such a pattern, and it would throw an error message otherwise. Redwood UI. All right, so it's time for us to just quickly take you to the cards page. So let me just go to the cards application. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll just put the cards page, for example, and then run this. So this is how it looks like right now. So I use theme roller, and now we have a theme style. So the theme style Redwood Light available. So to update this particular Redwood Light theme style, if you have an existing application, you just need to go to your universal theme or refresh your theme, and then come back to your pages like this, and you can come to the theme roller, and then just select Redwood Light style. And then what I'm going to do is set as current, okay, and then just close this dialog. I see that my Redwood Light is applied to my pages now. Okay, so so that's the new feature, Redwood UI. So you can use Redwood Light theme style, which is available via Theme Roller. Developer experience, we have already covered that multiple tabs in property editor pane, like you have attributes and printing if appropriate for the particular Apex component. Those tabs will appear in the property editor here next to the region tab. So this is how the page designer in Apex 20.1 would look like, and this is how in 20.2, like you have a region, you have attributes, and you have printing as appropriate. Code editor in Apex 20.2 is a Monaco editor, which is a new editor, and it has been implemented across the development environment. So you'll have a very improved code editing experience now, which includes code completion, you have syntax highlighting, and you have vastly improved accessibility. The other interesting feature, which is part of Apex 20.2, is a save model in QuickSQL. So in QuickSQL, you can now save the data model, so you can use it later. Developer experience in Apex 20.2 also includes one more utility, which is the new embedded code utility. So if you go to okay, so let's right. So let's go to your let's go to the demo page again. So go to the let's go to the application, and then we'll go to utilities here, and then you see embedded code over here. So hitting this, it would show you the embedded code utility. So this is how you can view like language, PLSQL, scope, component type, and things like that. So you can run utility to view the code. Okay. Like you can choose a process, for example, so you can just play around with this embedded code utility. All right, so let's go back to the slide now, and then let's visit the other features. So this new embedded code utility, it allows you to inspect SQL, PL/SQL, and JavaScript contained within your application. Basically, it's very convenient for code reviews, and you can also save code to the file system from the app builder or using the Apex export utility. Okay, so there is a new single checkbox item type, works very well with interactive grid. So you can have a checkbox, and this works even when you're not in the edit mode. The interactive grid is not in the edit mode as well. File browse item type has been enhanced to support rendering as a drop zone now. So this is the enhancement done. And rich text editor, it picks up the new editor item type. It's been upgraded to use CK editor file and now supports even markdown output. Text field item type has new text case setting, like you can choose between lower, upper, or no change at all. Text field trim spaces and text case settings and text area trim space settings are applied on the client as well as the server. Couple of other miscellaneous features covered in Apex 20.2. We have the tree region tab, which now supports lazy loading, and it refreshes without having to reload the full page. So, for example, you can create a dynamic action which has a refresh button, and then that would refresh without having to reload the full page. And new interactive grid saved report static ID support. So it uses a static ID. So to understand this particular feature, I would encourage you to go to Sample Charts application and look at one of the pages, so which is covered, which shows how a new interactive grid save reports uses static ID. And we have Apex Web Service API, which has been enhanced to support sending of payload of REST request in multi-part form data format. We made JavaScript library upgrades like Oracle Jet 9.0, jQuery 3.5.1, CKEditor 5, and of course we're using Monaco editor as a new editor in Apex 20.2. And there are some D-supported features like Oracle HTTP Server Mod PLSQL and Embedded PLSQL Gateway WebListen are no longer supported. Oracle REST Data Services ORDS is the only supported WebListen now, and IE11 is no longer supported starting Apex 20.2. To learn more about Apex 20.2 new features, please go to apex.oracle.com. And to learn more about the card regions, I would encourage you to go to the Universal Theme sample application, apex.oracle.com/ut, and you go to cards, and you will be able to understand the new features covered in 20.2. And also, the sample reporting application in Apex 20.2 has been updated to pick up the cards region. That's it from me to talk about Apex 20 features. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to meeting you and talking to you again soon. Thank you so much. Have a good day.